And in today's video, we are going to be reviewing what is hands down one of the best animes I've actually seen in a while. In today's video, we are going to be talking about Gurren Lagann. Hello guys and welcome back to Dylan's Little Hobbies. Let's get started. Alright, so actually I'm really surprised at how much I actually ended up liking Gurren Lagann. Like I'm just gonna give my rating right away. It's like a 9 out of 10. Like, geez, fantastic story. I gotta give a clap to them. Fantastic story. I gotta give a clap to them. This was really great, and what's actually really surprising is that this is actually an older anime, and that's really surprising to me because I would say this is probably the most modern feeling older anime that I've ever seen. Like, I mean, yeah, I would say that this actually reminds me a lot of, I know this sounds crazy, but I would say the feel of the show reminds me a little bit of My Hero Academia, a little bit of Black Clover, you know? It just has the feeling of more modern anime, and I kind of like that, but it's definitely an older anime. I would go as far as saying perhaps maybe modern anime or trying to replicate the feel of Gurren Lagann, because this is an older anime, and I was kind of surprised by that. Now, Gurren Lagann, shoutouts to my buddy Sauerkraus, because he told me to actually watch this show. This show has been on my list for forever. Like, I don't know, I always heard that it was a good anime, but I've never actually watched it, and the reason why I decided to never actually watch it was hilariously because it's a mech show, and yeah, it's really funny. It's the same thing with Code Geass, right? Code Geass, I would actually say one of the best animes I have ever seen, turned out being a mech show. So, yeah, you know, I'm more into fighting anime, I'm more into hand-to-hand combat kind of fighting anime, but the mech show was really kind of interesting, and Gurren Lagann is honestly one of, hands down, the best mech shows I've ever seen. Not just a mech show, but hands down one of the best animes I've ever seen in terms of its story, because it had twists, it had turns that I just was not expecting. Alright, so what is the story? The story consists of this guy named Simon. And Simon, you know, it starts out when he's a little kid, and all the humans live underground. All him and his quote-unquote brother Kamina has ever known is that they live underground. And Kamina believes there is a life to live on the surface. Why are people just living underground forever? Simon, that's all he does. He digs. And he digs. That's all he does. He just digs. That's his entire life. To dig using his drill. And that is all he's ever done for his entire life up to that point. Now, he eventually digs until he finds one day this robotic head. What the heck is this robot head doing in the middle of the ground? Now, eventually he shows it to Kamina, and Kamina is like, you know what? Let's use it. Let's use your drill to dig our way up to the surface and beyond into the skies. It's gonna pierce the heavens, and it's so funny that he says that his drill is going to pierce the heavens one day, because literally by the end of the show, they fight in space. Literally, they fight in space. That is insane, but it is such a really great anime in terms of that. So when they dig up to the surface one day, they of course meet Yoko, one of the humans that come from another village. So we actually find out that there are other villages underground out there. Yoko and her little group, her little family, I would call it, live on top of the surface, fighting the gunmen. Now, why are they constantly fighting the gunmen? Because the gunmen are the ones who are keeping them underground, and we don't know why. Actually, we find out later on what the gunmen are. Oh, and that weird spiral robotic head that our boy Simon is able to pilot, that has a drill, is actually known as a gunman, and it's one of the most important and powerful gunmen ever because it has the ability to literally attach two other gunmen, giving them spiral power and charging them up to greater and stronger heights. And yeah, I know, it's spiral power. It's actually insane what they actually came up with when it came to what the spiral power actually was, because simply put, it's like inner spirit. That's what it is. It's like inner spirits. The greater your inner spirit is, and humans, of course, have massive amounts of their own spirit, and it's constant. It's impossible to defeat. In fact, that's what the show really comes down to being about. It's about your own spirit, believing in yourself, never actually thinking that you're below anybody and taking over the world with your own spirit. I really liked the quote-unquote lesson they had there, and you know, the spiral power, our DNA goes and wraps itself into a spiral power, and they went all deep into that. In fact, the lore of this was really interesting because of the whole spiral power, the power locked inside of you, and all you have to do is believe in your own ability and you can make your dreams come true. I like the lesson there, and Simon wants to do that. Simon wants to believe in himself and make the world free. He believes that by believing in himself, he can make his dreams come true, and basically he doesn't want anyone above him. That's the thing. So there are several people, several like species that are above him. They think they are above him. Like, for example, there was the Spiral King, who, you know, the Spiral King, actually, the Spiral King was a really interesting story. I'm not going to give all the spoilers as to what happened to the Spiral King, but basically it comes down to the Spiral King wanting to actually protect humanity, and by doing that, he becomes ruler of all. Of course, Simon and the group eventually do defeat the king and find out why it was all happening, why humanity has never lived on the surface for so long. You know, of course they lived on the surface at one time, but why they all went underground. And it's because of the anti-spiral race, a race of once spiral beings having major power, but acknowledging the fact that with that power could end up destroying the universe. And it goes down to the cosmos, and you know how galaxies spiral around itself. All of life's energy surrounds into this spiral, and it's all just energy. It's all just believing in yourself. That's what spiral power is, and it's something that we all have because as we're all parts of the spiral race, which is really interesting, because if you're a science nerd like me, you know, we're all basically formed from space dust, you know, so including DNA, the power that powers DNA and everything, the building blocks of life. it all wraps up into one big spiral story within Gurren Lagann, and I really liked that. It's really interesting. Now, when Simon was a little kid, he didn't have much faith in himself. Actually, hilariously, Kamina is the one that, even though Simon's the main character, it's really funny because Kamina, for the first part, I feel like is the main character of the first part, and like it's really funny because Kamina's your average, I would really say is your average protagonist versus Simon being more of a modern protagonist. Simon reminds me a little bit of Midoriya, actually, a little whiny, a little weak in the beginning, doesn't have much belief in himself, but is going to try his best, you know, a little different from what Naruto or Asta is, or Kamina. Kamina is really interesting too because he believes in himself. He believes that there's no one that could be better than him. He believes that he can do it, and he believes in his friends, and he believes through the power of friendship that, yeah, it's one of those shows. Kamina is one of those people, but it's really interesting because he ends up inspiring Simon to be the best that he could be. And I'm not going to I'm not going to spoil what happens to Kamina in the story, but like very early on, something nuts happens to Kamina, which just blew my mind away. I'm like, how could you do that? How could you just? I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm not gonna spoil it, but wow. And I really liked, you know, learning more about Kamina. Kamina has even told Yoko a couple times before that the reason why he believes in himself so much is because he thinks Simon believes in him. You know, I really like that. So Kamina kind of thinks that he's the best he can be only because he can improve Simon. You know, he can believe in Simon and convince Simon to believe in himself, and that gets Simon to believe in Kamina as well. And so because Kamina believes in Simon, Simon believes in Kamina, and they build themselves up together and until they get to the surface of the world. Now, of course, there is other great characters that we meet throughout the show, like I'm not even kidding, there's even a princess. There's like Princess Nia. She was fantastic. She was a great character. I really liked Yoko. There were other great characters in the show as well. But if I go into their stories, again, I will just end up spoiling the show. And I don't want to do that in this video. So, without further ado, let's just end it here with me telling you that this is one of the best shows I've seen in a while. Shout out to my buddy Sauerkraus for getting me into this show. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below about Gurren Lagann. And thank you guys for watching, and I am out. Bye.